Hey, good morning. It's the 19th of April. We're live right here at Buddy Brew. Great startup coffee shop. Got some of their most recent Burundi Kyanza City Roast, which is fabulous here. And we're going to be talking tech and what's going on in the world today. We're in Tampa, Florida. Beautiful Tampa Bay. It's warm, sunny, comfortable. And a lot of activity right down the street. The University of Tampa, students are getting ready to go to school, and just some great things happening. But around the table, we've got some cool people that have been with us, and we're coming with us each week, and we're going to be talking about what's happening in the startup tech community in Tampa Bay and why you need to bring your business if you're somewhere else where it's cold or uncomfortable and you want to come to a great community. This is the great place to be. To my right, I've got Fritz, who is instrumental in kind of educating this roundtable on what's going on job-wise, what's happening in the tech community, who's looking for jobs, who's hiring. And he'll be here every week kind of giving us an update. Stephanie, who's a new add to the county's EDI2 program and the Economic Development Office, she's going to be talking about herself, talking about EDI2, which is really important. We get some money, several $1 million. If we spend it wisely and we show results, we'll get more money. So we've got to be smart about what we're doing. And to help us be smart, we've got Ken Evans, who's done a lot of work with Bar Camp, Code Camp, Health Camp. He was a mentor at the hackathon this last weekend, which was really successful. We had coders from all over the world, kinda. A global effort. They were down at the HCC Brandon for 48 hours, coming up with some really cool code applications, or really cool tech applications that can be used for at the county level for the Parks Department. And just really exciting stuff that's being done here in Tampa Bay. So Fritz, let's start with you. Tell us what's going on. What are you seeing right now, the job market, both here locally and nationally?
Well, it's still a very active market, especially for folks. If you think about where the demand is, because business is always supply and demand. So the demand is always for these phones. People want applications, whether on a personal basis, on a business basis, and companies are just ramping up and hiring like crazy for developers and the other IT professionals needed to create the type of application so they can engage their customers, they can sell, they can make money. The one issue, though, we've seen in the last few weeks, not sure if it's because of the sequester, not sure if it's just some hazy forecasting, but a number of firms have done some layoffs, which has... in anything, there's always a positive and a negative. The negative, obviously, these people have lost their jobs. The positive, in a tight job market. And again, I don't do retail, I don't do real estate construction, but in IT, it's a very hot job market and has been for 2 years. It's actually helped by putting a lot of IT people on the market, and they're quickly getting gobbled up by other firms that had openings that couldn't hire.
Who's hiring?
Financial service firms are hiring at an amazing pace, and you name it, Chase, Citigroup, TTCC,
okay.
You name the 20, 30, 40 financial services firms, banks that are in this region. They're all hiring. All sorts of new compliance issues, the regulations that they're trying to meet with that have come through the government. Lots of projects there, a lot of products. A lot of firms are trying to compete with, I bank with Chase, and their Chase mobile applications are some of the finest to deal with. Well, if you've got to compete, you've got to have as nice of an application because your customers are coming in and saying, great, can I scan the check and deposit it so I don't have to go in? How can you make my life easier? They're hiring. Healthcare is hiring as well. A lot of changes going on with the Affordable Care Act. Consumer products, restaurant chains, Outback, you name it. They're all seeing a resurgence. You go to restaurants these days, and they're a lot fuller than, say, that 2009, 2010 bottom of the marketplace. So, well, they're hiring because now they're doing social media. They're engaged with their customers on. There's a whole movement in restaurants to try to minimize the impact with a waiter. So now you get an iPad.
Right.
The iPad's got the entire menu, and maybe it'll tell you, well, based on what you're eating, get these wines. Well, that doesn't come out of anywhere. You need the people behind it to develop the code, test it, sell it, and that whole ecosystem to support it. So all of those firms are hiring.
What skill sets and what skill levels are you seeing lately?
Mid to senior level. There's a little bit of a youth movement among some firms. There's a friend of mine who's a CIO at a company. I tease them. The average age of that firm is near death, near retirement. And they're consciously going out to the schools and recruiting a lot of the younger folks, or bringing in some younger talent, and then they're building a mentoring system, putting them with one of the senior folks. It happens to be a company with very low turnover, so someone can be there 10, 20 years plus, and that's a smart way to try to replace the workforce that's aging. You know, what a lot of people don't think about is 10,000 people a day are turning 65. They're all retiring. So even in this community, there's companies that are that are being created to provide services to those firms, and they need the technology. But developers, QA, project managers, and even you're starting to see at management level, where this year I've worked on more searches over 150K than all of last year. So you're starting to see some improvement there. There's opportunities for those people to turn to. There weren't last year. So.
And when we talk about job opportunities, we're talking about the Tampa Bay area. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're seeing this here, you're seeing this...
I recruit for companies that are here and maybe have operations in California, New York, and Chicago. And at the senior levels, what's really interesting, there's very little salary discrepancy between here, New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. These are transferable skills. Thanks to the internet, these people could work anywhere. As long as they're on the phone, text, no one cares, Skype, Google Hangout, whoever you want to use, they're there, they can be productive. That's one. The other thing, one of the topics that we're talking about is the startups. It is an amazing time to start up a company. There is probably never a cheaper time or faster time to create a firm. You don't have to build out a data center, so you don't need a lot of that money. Just outsource it to a Google or Amazon data center. You want to do marketing? Create a Facebook page, Twitter. If you're smart, YouTube videos. If you're smart and get the traction, fine. Figure out where the customers are. And a lot of these developers, rather than taking an approach of, why should I create something for you, Mr. Business Owner, when I could create it for myself and maybe capture my own wealth. And it's just fun to see the volume of these professionals that are taking the risk, starting a company. A good friend of mine started a company 3 years ago doing mobile development, which didn't exist years ago. And he sold it, and now he's taken about a year off to go do something that he wants to do, travel. And then when he'll come back, he knows he'll be employable because he's got a very high demand skill.
One of the things that we're trying to do at the county is to kind of shift the focus from the whale hunting we used to do, where we'd go out and look for the large corporate entity that was sitting over in a cold state and say, hey, look, it's warm, it's sunny, our taxes are lower, we'll give you some incentives. They're looking desperately for a way to kind of continue to remain competitive, so they accept, they come down. But that really isn't creating net new jobs. So the county recognizes through its EDI2 program that we really need to be focusing on startups. And what they've done is we've gone out and we've hired one of the brightest talents in North America, and she's with us here, sitting to my right, and she's now working with the county on our EDI2 program. Stephanie, maybe you could introduce yourself, kind of tell us where you're from and what you're going to be doing.
Absolutely. I'm just so excited to be here. My name is Stephanie Sabetitic. I've spent the majority of my career in economic development, most recently working with managing a mentorship program at the Business Technology Incubator in South Florida at Florida Atlantic University in their research park. While I was there, not only working with entrepreneurs in the incubator, trying to help them everything from business planning to access to capital, I also had the fortunate opportunity to manage the operations of the largest structured angel investment group in the state of Florida, with part of their membership in South Florida, the other part of their membership here in Tampa Bay. So it's very exciting to be part of these conversations, because when it comes to access to capital, there is capital here. There are entrepreneurs. There are companies that are starting. It's identifying where these individuals are and trying to connect them in meaningful ways. So the EDI2 program is, I think, the absolute perfect starting point to get this community from the way the economies have worked in the past to looking to have outsiders looking at us like a city like Seattle, looking at us like a region like Silicon Valley, looking at us like the Triangle. And so by the county being able to help provide some resources to events that are happening, to incubators that are either existing or looking to exist, to mentorship programs, to accelerators. We are so excited to help provide these resources to try to take where we are just to the next level. So I'm excited to be here.
So if somebody wants to reach out to you right now, how would they find you?
Well, you would find me, I'm out in the community. Yesterday I was up at the University of South Florida, up at USF Connect at a networking event and talking with them. Today we're going to be going to an event over at the with the Tampa Bay Technology Forum. So we are really, really working to reach out to existing resources to make sure that they know that we're here, and that now that we're here with our hand to help, and we are approachable, and we are not we're not trying to reinvent a wheel. We are trying to just fuel a fire.
You know, this is a sea change. When I came to the county back in 2004, we had wonderful people, great people working at the county in economic development. But really, economic development was about, we're going to get on a plane, we're going to fly somewhere with our structured program of incentives that we give to large corporate entities, 50 employees or more at least, before we'd even talk to you. Now we've got Lindsay Kimball and Stephanie, dynamic young individuals who are out in the community saying, okay, we're going to work with you, we're going to learn from you, we're going to know our place and role. Ken always reminds me, you know, we're the feeder. You know, we're not the leader necessarily in this, but we're going to provide assistance and help. So you just want to make sure that when you're looking at the County Economic Development Department, we're going to be looking at our webpage and how we make it much more interactive, how you can just communicate on email. I mean, if someone wanted to email you, would they go to the county webpage, the economic? How would they navigate through even our own webpage to find you all?
Well, you would go to the county website, you would go to our economic development department, and when we are going to be uploading a page about the
EDI2?
About the EDI2, and then my email and all of my contact information will be there. If somebody watching this would like to just contact me directly, my email address is my last name, which is Svetitic. I realize that's not the
We're going to have a scrolling name.
I was going to say
It'll be on a banner.
I need a little sign, but it's C as in cat, V as in Victor, E-T-E-T-I-C, and my first initial S at hillsboroughcounty.org. And I would just be so excited to have as many conversations with people in this community as I can right now. And
cool.
So excited to be here.
Oh, well, we're thrilled to have you here. And this is going to be, I think we're really going to see a lot of great things happening in the community. Our goal, you know, I want to see us rocket into a position of strength as one of the largest metros in the country. I mean, when you talk about as a media market, we're one of the largest, media metros. I think we're the 20th largest metro in the nation at this time, roughly speaking. Our MSA, we're probably close to 3 million people at this time. So there's tremendous opportunities. And Fritz is talking about the fact that, that the income disparity is not that great. So if you're looking for a job, it's not like you have to go to another metro area to find.
No, they're coming here. And they're hiring people from here, letting them work here, and paying close to the wages in New York, California.
That's wonderful.
And to bring a point where you were talking about focusing on local, I'm working on a presentation. I'm up to about a little over 100 companies, started up in the Tampa Bay region, got investment capital, acquired, merged, did acquisitions, or have gone public, covering a 30-year period of time. Most of these companies, no one's ever heard of. And, it's part of a message that could be, how do you get it out there? Just keep on repeating the message of success. People don't know that a local software company was started, was acquired, ended up being a $6 billion acquisition. People don't know about lots of these little companies that were incubated, started here locally, that have now been acquired, reacquired. Now they're part of some of the biggest companies in the world. It's created wealth. Some of these folks have gone on to create their second, third company. So it's just, there have been starts and stops, but inconsistent messaging. And I'm hoping that, with the energy here and with a lot of other people supporting, that kind of message gets out there and encourage people to take the risk. California is great. Silicon Valley, I was there the other day. It's a great area. Failure is not looked upon as a negative. It is just part of the process to bring you closer to another success. When I started my own company 8 years ago, I had the support, love, and strength of my wife. It was very helpful. Could I do this? Could I do another partnership? Could I take a job? Or could I start my own company? Let's do it. Took the risk. 8 years later, greatest thing I've ever done. And in speaking to other business owners in this market, literally is a life-changing event. And I've encouraged hundreds of thousands of people to just go out, do it, take the risk. If it fails, that's okay. Most businesses are going to fail. If it succeeds, there's no greater drug, no greater thing in the world.
No greater drug.
Well, Tampa, it's interesting. We're an old school community that's changing dramatically. But we would look at failure as just that. Oh my God! Whether you're a political figure trying to do something kind of outrageous, perhaps. Let's bring the Olympics to Tampa. Oh, can you believe that crazy guy doing that crazy thing? Well, you know what?
There'd be snide remarks, not helpful to moving forward.
But even through the efforts of, I'm talking now Ed Taranchik when he was talking about trying to bring the Olympics to Tampa, we began to do an inventory of all the assets we had in our community, things that could be used in ways that might, for public facilities, public sports. Through his effort, he actually kind of opened a lot of eyes, and people began to say, wait a minute, there's tremendous opportunity here. So, and it's the same with businesses. Here you tried a business, it didn't work. There was this kind of like almost a negative sense. Well, he tried and he failed.
You failed.
What you're saying is in these communities like Silicon Valley, you try, you fail. That's the first step towards success.
Mm-hmm. Just try. At least
Ken,
you try.
what do you think, my friend?
Absolutely, and a lot of people will look at your failures as what you've learned along the way. I don't want to make it just about investors, but even co-founders, co-workers, things of that nature. They want to know what you've tried in the past. If it's your first time up at bat, people are going to be a little bit hesitant. If you've been doing it, trying different industries, different technologies, different things that you've learned from, it says a lot about your character. It says a lot about your capabilities as an entrepreneur or as a manager or as a developer.
Well, let's talk though. We talk about failure. We also want to talk about the fact that many people here have shown tremendous success, but we're also linking. One of the things that I keep pointing to is there's a great startup community that's going on in Seattle, and Seattle has a page which kind of gives you the entire startup environment. And I'm hoping that here we can come up with an application, which we're going to do quickly, which kind of shows the startup community in Tampa Bay. So if you're out there listening and you think you're part of this community, you want to make sure you reach out to us, the EDI2 program, Stephanie. We're going to be inventorying. I know that the Tampa Bay Technology Forum is doing some tremendous work. They're looking at trying to also do an inventory of all of our assets and who's out there. So we want Heather Kenyon and the Tech Forum to be working with us. I know that the Tampa Bay Wave, which has a new accelerator that they're working right now at the Sykes facility, the second floor of the Sykes building. They're also working with a number of companies. I think they've got upwards of 50 companies that they've worked with currently, and they're thinking that there might be an opportunity for another 50. So they're doing some great work, but they're also trying to do an inventory. But one of the things you've been talking about is lots of events, bringing people together, linking people. Can you tell us a little bit about some of these events, what we should be looking for, and how we in government can kind of perhaps assist and help in facilitating these events?
Well, the hackathon last weekend that the county put on was a great example. And I've used this term in the past. It's about kind of our tech or entrepreneurial fitness. The more events that you have, and I'm not talking about cocktails and Chamber of Commerce type of networking. I'm talking about people with technical backgrounds getting together and exchanging ideas. This is an event. This is the type of event that I was used to from Seattle, at a coffee shop, in a pub, talking about ideas, whether it's about community ideas or tech ideas. This is about what gets people's juices flowing and gets people coalesced around an idea. It's not the fact that you have lots and lots of events, because this community has a lot of events, but it's the ones that are productive. It's the ones that draw the right people together. I would argue that small meetups of 20 people are more productive for tech type of discussions than the larger events that we have of hundreds or dozens or hundreds of people. Having said that, bar camp, code camp, things like that bring together several hundred people are very, very effective in having the people that are the potential co-founders of new companies come together and exchange ideas. It's not about exchanging business cards or about selling things. It's about, what are you working on? Can I help with that? Can I give you some feedback? And we talk a lot about mentoring programs, and so many of them are very, very formal. The mentoring that really helps an early stage entrepreneur, early stage tech person is I'll call it just-in-time mentoring. The person you meet that has the credibility to really help you out, and they answer a couple of those questions. And when you've got places like Wave or other co-working facilities, and you know you're going to run into the right person, those type of mentoring opportunities just happen and it's gone. But you've got your question answered. You've moved on with what you're doing. It's about that momentum. It's about moving forward on a regular basis and knowing who to tap. It's not about the formal structure. I mean, a lot of people say, well, we want to be the glue of the entrepreneurial environment. Well, I'm a homeowner. I go to Home Depot probably on a weekly basis. And if I want to make sure something doesn't move, I go get glue or tape. That's, if I want to make sure something is moving, I go and get oil,
Lubricant.
some type of lubricant. So, do we want an environment where we're gluing together the tech community, or do we want an environment where we're lubricating the tech community?
Yeah, sure.
And that's the way it works best in other cities, where people have this free flow of talent, free flow of information, free flow of events, lots of different things to choose from. When I was in Seattle, there were always things to do every single night of the week, and it was tough to choose what to go to. But, that's what you want, is lots of different things, lots of different organizations, lots of different discussions happening, and that feeling that you're missing something because you can't go to all of them, but you want that level of activity. The county can help a little bit, but for the most part, it's going to be the tech community who's doing it on their own, in very small fashion.
And it doesn't have to cost the county a lot of money. Just being behind it, just being a voice, just helping to co-promote. Just a daily email or weekly email of events that happen to highlight culture, science, tech, and others. And you should... I created a tech networking event. The first one had 13 people. The next one had 20, 30, 50. I'll get upwards of 200 to 400 people, but that's 14 years of constant promoting, constant messaging on a positive basis, putting people together, and that's helpful. The other group that hadn't been mentioned is the Florida Venture Forum. They've been for years, have been working with the transaction folks, because you can start up, but you need the money. You need the attorney, you need the CPA, and a lot of these people are also trying to they're looking for their clients, and that's also a great source for companies to turn to, get mentoring, get some capital. And they've got 2 events a year, one where they profile major organizations, and the other one they started a few years ago to promote early or start smaller organizations.
And that one's just in a few weeks now.
That one's coming up pretty soon, so I would go to the Google or Bing Florida Venture Forum, find it, register.
And those events really, I really believe, are very much of value. I feel the people that are a part of that organizations like that really do know what they're talking about. I was speaking with an attorney last night at the USF Connect event, and on the board up there, very large firm here in Tampa, and he was so excited about the EDI2 program, so excited to talk to Lindsay and myself. He was saying how they're this very large law firm. They have been hiring a bunch of young corporate, very just entrepreneurial driven attorneys in their firm, and they are so excited to talk to us because they are the ones that are going to be able to help facilitate a lot of these connections.
Plus, they've invested. They see where they're competing with other investors. They're seeing where the market trends are going. Why not have a conversation with them? I could create something out of the blue. Will people come? Will they buy it? Let me talk to investors that are trying to make money. Where's the trend? What's hot? What's going on? Can I create a technology? Can I create a solution around that? Build it and leverage their resources, contacts to help accelerate and create what we want.
Yep.
No one wants just a startup for the sake of a startup. We want startups that actually create wealth, create jobs, impact the community, sell it, go do it again.
Let me ask you, the county has invested a significant amount of money in several programs. We had the Merck Moffitt Cancer Collaborative, M2Gen. We have a collaborative between the American College of Cardiology and Pep and Heart. And now they're working on a really exciting program which could ultimately lead the ACC to house all of its information and data right here in Tampa Bay. We've got the Camels facility, which really is robotics simulation. We have a Draper Laboratories, so we put money in Draper. The Stanford Research Institute, SRI, is both at the St. Pete campus of USF as well as the Tampa campus of USF. So we're putting money in a lot of these large entities and organizations. And now we've got this EDI2 program, which is kind of looking at, again, our local startup community. Is there a way, though, that the average entrepreneur who's got, who's tech savvy, can they tap into the work we're doing, with the Moffats and the Drapers of the world? And I mean, how do we connect them, or do we connect them? Because I know that even with this MetaFuture 2023 conference, which is going to take place at the Economic Development Corporation, is hosting at the Camels facility on May, I believe it's May 13th, I think. If you go to the EDC's webpage, Tampa Hillsborough EDC, you'll get information about the MetaFuture 2023 conference. It's going to be great. We're talking about disruptive, transformational medical opportunities. But again, can the startup community participate in that? I mean, I know it's not something...
Sure. I mean, anyone can participate in that because you need different things from different people. I mean, if you're talking about taking some Draper research or something off the shelf that has been researched with tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars of government money, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more difficult. But generally, the person that's going to be starting a product in that area is a subject matter expert in that area. They're not just coming in and cherry picking something off the shelf. Probably someone that's been working in that area of science or medicine. And what they need is to, figure out, what is the product they're going to create? What is the problem they're going to solve? The problem in that area is they're so used to being fed with hundreds of millions of dollars of research money that they look around and say, well, give me more so I can start this. And that's kind of the 180-degree difference from the regular startup community, which is I'm going to go build something that proves it has value and take it to market. Before, without all those hundreds of millions of dollars of research. So, but there's an entrepreneurial mindset, there's a startup mindset that needs to be there. A lot of times you're not going to get that mindset in a university environment.
There was a firm in Ybor City. Basically what they do is to go to universities, work with the professors, look at the intellectual technology that's been developed, and try to figure out how to commercialize it. So there's no reason why not an M2Gen and some of these other entities that research is coming out of USF and other universities, where the professors haven't created a business, but they need help. Look at Monolithics, look at some others where they've created something, gone outside and turned it into a viable company. Great opportunity to go out there and do it.
And you've worked with Florida Atlantic University.
I did, and I tell you, there's also, speaking to that point, there is a wonderful program that's sponsored by the state of Florida called the Florida Institute for the Commercialization of Public Research. It's based out of Gainesville and out of South Florida as well. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're looking at these technologies coming out of these universities, like the University of South Florida, like the University of Florida, and matching them, help match them with the right entrepreneur to take it to the next level. So we have thriving companies.
Well, not to interrupt, but that was kind of the hackathon concept. Was we got 10 gigabytes of data, and we're going to hand it out, and anybody who can come up with an app can come up with an app. The whole Bermuda Accord, which President Clinton was involved with when they were talking about the genome and how we were going to open up the genome. They decided at Bermuda that they were going to take all that data and open it up to the public.
Make it public.
Anybody who wanted the information could tap in and use it or try to come up with an app to make it useful. And as a result, genomic research is flourishing. And so, one of the ideas that we're hoping we can work with as we do the MetaFuture concept, as it moves forward and as companies come down here, is we want to be able to have in a way that can protect the data and protect the people who are creating this information, but at the same time making as much public, or so that there can be an opportunity for citizens to work with these large corporate entities and come up with cool ideas. I mean, in fact, we're slowly seeing an emergence between the University of South Florida and Mosey on a STEAM concept. We're looking at STEM. I think they're going to take it to STEAM, in which they want to be able to collaborate with some of the work that's happening at Camels and have the two sharing information back and forth, and then allowing students from our public school system. And Mary Ellen Elia and the Hillsborough County Schools is going to be working with Mosey and Wittestrinko on ways in which they can then work certain projects that the companies that we're going to be partnering with will be giving to the school, will be giving to the Mosey folks and saying, hey, here's some challenges we've got, here's some data, tap in, see what you can do. I also want to say that Stuart Rogel, head of the Tampa Bay Partnership, just walked in. You never know who's going to come to Buddy Brew and get a cup of coffee. So if you want to come here, meet the guys that are making things happen, talk to the guys behind the screen here, the geniuses who are working the cameras and making sure that this all is done, Mr. Alessi and others. I feel bad now because I've said Mr. Alessi. Who's this? Who are you? What's your first name? Kevin. Francisco and Kevin. You can meet Francisco, Kevin. You can get a good cup of coffee. You can learn a lot of things. How much time we got, guys? How are we doing on time? Up to me? Do we have anything else we want to add, or are we going to go have another cup of coffee and get to work?
More coffee.
What do you think? More coffee,
More
get
coffee.
to work. Fritz?
Sure.
Stephanie?
Sounds great to me.
All right.
Ken?
Until the next
We'll
time.
be here. Next week, we're going to be at the University of South Florida. No?
University of Tampa.
Oh, so it's UT. All right, are we off? We'll find out. We'll post. We'll figure it out. I know we're going to the University of Tampa Entrepreneurship Center. We're going to be going to USF and meeting at the USF Connect. And if you want to learn more, just go to this hashtag, EDI2, and you can learn all you want to learn about this fabulous program we've got and all the cool things that are happening in wonderful Tampa Bay, where startups are happening every single day. Have a great day.